and welcome to today's session. Thanks so much for joining us on MBA.com. My name is Fanae Croft, and I'm going to be your host or your moderator today. And today's session is designed for undergraduates to shed some light on business school. You'll hear from current MBA students, get a better understanding of what some of their considerations were, what you should be thinking about, and things you can do now, like preparing for and taking the GMAT exam. So joining me today, I have three panelists. I have Rashad Munir, and he did his undergraduate at Mahatma Gandhi University in India, and is a current student in the MBA marketing program at Kent State University. We also have Susie Kim, who did her undergraduate at Yonsei University and now attends the Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan. So thanks so much for joining us. Those are our students. And we also have my colleague, the fabulous Eric Chambers. And Eric, he's great. He helps develop and execute strategic initiatives to better serve schools with GMAT research, products, and services. But before joining GMAT, Eric was Senior Associate Director of MBA Admissions at the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania. So he's on today to give us some insights to answer some questions from the admissions perspective to hopefully help you as you begin navigating this process. So before we get started, few housekeeping notes. We want this to be very informational for you to get everything that you're looking for all your questions to be answered. So throughout the Hangout, we want you to post any questions you have in the comment section, and we'll make sure that all the questions are, or as many questions as we can answer, we will answer towards the end of today's session. So we'll probably talk for 30, 45 minutes, and then we'll begin to answer any questions that you've posted. Additionally, we have a current promotion that we're running specifically for undergraduates. You can take the exam for $100 off if you register by December 31st. So you want to go to gmat.com/undergraduates for more details. So let's get started. Thanks so much for joining us, panelists. Suji, will you start us off by just telling us a bit more about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and how you got to where you are? And Rashad, if you'd follow right behind Suji, that'd be great.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So hello, everyone. My name is Susie Kim. I am currently a second-year MBA student at University of Michigan Ross School of Business. I am originally from Seoul, South Korea. And I actually majored in English and business while I was an undergrad. And I did my exchange student program at University of California, Davis when I was an undergrad. And that's when I saw a lot of bigger business opportunities besides Seoul, South Korea. And I was thinking about actually going to an MBA program starting then. And then when I came back to Korea after exchange student program, I started working at a company called LG Household and Healthcare. So that's the largest CPG company in South Korea. I was working there as a marketing manager for more than 2 years. And then I also joined Amazon in South Korea. And I was helping different South Korean brands launching their products on Amazon.com US marketplace. And while I was working in LG and Amazon, I started thinking back to what I thought while I was doing my exchange student program back in the States. So I started to taking GMAT. I was applying for several schools that I was interested in. I can talk a little bit more about it later on. And I got accepted to Ross School of Business at University of Michigan. And for this summer, I worked at General Mills as an associate marketing brand manager intern. So if you have any questions about my CPG brand management experience, I'm also happy to answer the question as well.
Great. Thanks, Suji. Rashad, how about you? I don't think we can hear you, Rashad. I think Rashad might be having technical difficulties. We'll see if he pops back on. There he is. We still can't hear you. There you are.
Me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, sorry for that.
Okay.
I'm a Kent State MBA student here, and my major is marketing, and my undergrad was in engineering technology, and I had 2.5 year experience in an IT firm in India, which belongs to the Tata Group. So my first year was focused on, learning the things I learned all related to technology. And my second year was more into business related, like marketing. So here we were working with American Express, who was based at Phoenix, and we got to learn more about, the global exposure, and we had to market our technology, right? Whatever we had learned in India, since it's an outsourcing company. So that's how I gained experience with marketing. But what I was lacking was knowledge. Like I did learn in business knowledge outside the world. So that's how I, came here, wrote my GMAT, got into Kent State University, and I'm in my second year right now. I'm learning.
I think we froze, Rashad. You still there? There you are. Rashad? Okay.
Hey, hello.
There you are. Okay.
Hey.
Well, let's shift a bit. So we talked a bit more about.
Hello.
Hi. We talked a bit more about everyone's background here. Help me understand Eric. So they talked about, I know Suji talked about her background and when she applied and how she had been thinking about it earlier on. Is there a better time to apply for business school?
It probably depends on which program type that you're looking at, but I think and I can talk about those in a little bit of detail, but I think the best time to apply is when you really want to go to school. You really thought through all of the issues. You are ready to take full advantage of these programs, and that you've got most of the things in your life in order, right? So it's never going to be a perfect time to go to school. So you've just got to, kind of keep moving forward with your plans. But typically what we see is it depends on the program type you're looking at. So if you're looking at a specialized master's program or a pre-professional master's program, so like an MS in finance or an MS in management or something like that, you're typically looking at applying right out of school, or at least in this couple of years right out of school. If you're looking at a full-time MBA program, typically those schools, most of them like to see some work experience. So they like to see maybe 3 to 5 years, sometimes a little bit more than that. Again, it depends, but there's a big window on any of these programs. So again, it's really, so you might find yourself many years down the road and then decide to go get a specialized master's program or to go get your MBA. Part-time MBA programs, those are typically around the age of the full-time MBA candidates, but sometimes just a little bit older, just because they are now in a career and a job that they want to keep. Maybe they have a family, maybe they can't make that transition just to go full-time. So they're a part-time program is a better fit for them. With EMBA programs or executive MBA programs, you're looking at people that, probably 10 years plus of work experience. They really are in that executive level time. But I would say, from a timing standpoint too, and make sure I don't, I want to make sure I answer your question, but also I think it's important to think about how long it takes to apply. So most people, they start to think about this next stage, graduate management education, sometimes even 2 years out. But typically within a year of when you're ultimately going to, be applying is a good time when you start thinking about it, start getting things lined up, start working on your resume, and make sure you finish up your courses, study for the GMAT, take that, research schools, start to work on the essays, get your recommendations lined up, things like that. So I hope that helps a little bit from a timing standpoint.
No, definitely. Suji, what advice would you give someone who's starting the application process?
Are you asking more about like application process or more about GMAT preparation?
Right now, the application process.
Okay. I think before applying for any business school or even before taking an exam, GMAT exam, I think what's more important is to figure out like why you are taking an exam. Like you need to know the purpose of like why you want to go for a business school. So because like Eric just mentioned, it's a lot of time and money. Like if you think about it, and most people actually start preparing. For me, I'm in full-time MBA, and our program is 2 years. So you also need to think about the time that you're going to spend while you're in business school. Having 2 years of education also means that you're not going to have 2 years of real world experience. So you need to balance those things. And for me, the reason why I wanted to go to MBA is because I wanted to have international business experience, and I wanted to broaden my my location, and I wanted to have more international experience. So it was really clear to me, and that's what made me really drove and taking exams and stuff. Because I remember there are several friends of mine who actually started preparing GMAT exam with me. And some of my friends who didn't have like a clear goal and like a mission statement, like why they want to do an MBA program, they caught up with different schedules, and because they had to work at the same time while they're preparing for GMAT exam because they had a full-time job. It's hard. So I would say that you need to focus on and find out why you want to actually pursue an MBA program.
Okay. And so you took the GMAT after your undergraduate?
Yes.
Okay. What are any thoughts on that, on testing early? What are some of the benefits you'd say of testing early for the exam?
Like earlier in when you're in undergraduate degree is what you're asking, right?
Mm-hmm. Or before you get out in the workforce?
Yeah. I honestly wish I took a GMAT exam while I was on an undergrad, when I actually started to thinking about going to a business school, because like I mentioned earlier, if you're not studying a GMAT while you're an undergraduate, it means that you're going to study while you have a full-time job. So at the latest, you will have like a full-time job, which you need to commit your time from, let's say 9 to 6 p.m. So for me, the only time that I could study is actually after 6 p.m. and also on weekends, which is tough because you all have like different life schedule, and maybe you want to take rest during weekends and you have to travel and so on. So I personally sacrifice a lot of my vacation and holiday like days off only to study my GMAT, and it was tough for me. So I would say that if you have time right now as an undergraduate student, I would highly recommend you taking it now rather than pushing back and taking it while you have a full-time job, if you have the clear goal of why you want to go to an MBA.
Sure. Any thoughts there, Rashad? Can you hear me, Rashad? I think he's still having some difficulties. So tell me, oh, there you are.
Yes.
Any thoughts on when to test for the exam? Suji, she took it a little bit later, but her advice was the earlier the better, that she wishes that she would have taken it earlier. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I would add on to that. What I did was when I was a senior, I started practicing for the tests. All the practice tests available, and also, the materials, the GMAT materials. So that's how I started learning. And I didn't decide on a date yet because I didn't know how my, graduation goes, like what are the things I need to do, because, you are busy at the end of the semester.
Mhm.
And with the preparation I had after I finished my after my graduation, after like 1 or 2 months, I applied for the test and I wrote the test like after 3-4 months. And the coaching I received during my senior, because like when I was a senior, I had access to all the materials, I had access to the library. When you were like 4 years, you were in the same school, so like you kept learning about so many stuff. So it's better you take it as early as possible. If you're not certain about a date, like once you start studying, you'll get to know how much you need to learn and where you are right now. So I would say
Eric, I got a question for you. I know Rashad pop back on when he gets his network back up and running. So we talked about the GMAT exam a bit, and we're talking about it more in the if it's something you're thinking about taking it early is great for you. But we know that there are so many other components of your admissions process. What do admissions directors take into consideration most? Sometimes there's this thought that it skews in one direction or another. Is there something that's taken into consideration most, or is it balanced?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think if you talk to, I would obviously have, for any of the candidates out there, I would strongly encourage you to talk to your target schools, attend their information sessions, read their websites. A lot of times they'll talk about the admissions process being a holistic process. So they're trying to look at you and understand you as a whole person. So not just your credentials, in other words, your undergraduate grades and your GMAT score and work experience and things like that. But they're looking at you as a complete person. So one, they want to look at how have you managed your career to date. Now that may just be your undergrad studies. Again, if you're looking at certain programs. So, but they're looking at what clubs and activities did you gravitate towards? Or did you immerse yourself in these things and take a leadership role? In other words, were these things that you were passionate about doing? Or were these things that you would look like you were just padding your resume by joining club after club after club? They very much want to, when they're looking at your transcript, they're looking at what courses did you take? Were there ones that you struggled in more or less? Did you have more of an upward swing in your undergraduate studies, or was there a downward sort of probably not as productive process in undergrad? But then also, the big questions that they want answered are, why are you doing this? So why did you join the company that you joined out of school? Why did you stay with that company? Or if you left, why did you leave that company? How did you manage your time there? What did you learn from it? What did you learn about yourself from that experience? They desperately want to know, what do you want to do? So what are your goals? Why are these your goals? How do you know you're going to be happy pursuing these goals? How do you know you're going to be good at this stuff? And then obviously the other big questions, which are particular to them, are how does business school really help you to accomplish those goals? Why is now the right time for you to do this? And why is our school a good fit for you? And when we talk about fit, it's not just the academic part of it or the location or things like that, but it's really what's the atmosphere like? How do you know you're going to be happy here? How do you know you're going to thrive here? So they really are looking at everything. There's also, of course, the element of timing. So, if you're applying earlier in their admissions process, they have more seats available to be able to offer. If you're applying late, you may be a compelling candidate, but if you're, on the bubble with, if they only have so many spots, you may not get in this year. So they might waitlist you, or many of these schools allow people to reapply the following year. And typically people come back stronger, and they're typically admitted at a higher rate, than the typical, the first-time applicants. So.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing, I apologize, the last thing that I always say, and I can't believe I forgot it, but it's this whole self-awareness issue. that I think a lot of schools want to know. So that was what I was talking about, of really knowing who you are, what you've gravitated towards, what you haven't gravitated towards. Why do you want to do this? Why now? Why the school? All that. That is, you're really demonstrating a lot of self-awareness there. And that is a very compelling element for any candidate applying to a school.
Okay. That's awesome. I mean, that's a point that typically when we're thinking about this, candidates are often so focused on specific segments or essay and getting that done, GMAT, getting that done and getting the best score. And you reiterate a great point that the whole purpose of the application is really about communicating about yourself, being able to convey that you understand yourself, the decisions you made, why you chose a school, how it can benefit you, and how you can benefit the overall school community. So I always make the point too that if you're applying for 4 different schools, you should probably have 4 very different submissions, as that may change based on that school.
Yeah, or at least have a very good find and replace on your when you're writing your essays. So make sure you take out the other school's name and put in the school that you're applying to in there. So, but you're right. They really should be unique applications probably for each school. The substance will be, you're still the same person. So it's just, but you may be, making a certain point for a certain school that why they are uniquely a good fit for you. And not, again, every school varies a little bit. So therefore, your application should vary a little bit.
Absolutely. What resources did you use, Suji, when you were researching what type of programs you wanted to apply to? What tools did you use?
So like I think Eric mentioned earlier, but I think I used, so for me, I was applying for business schools in the States, right? But then I was working in South Korea. So honestly, it was kind of hard for me to actually see what the school will look like because I couldn't actually visit them in person. So I know one of my actually friends, she is applying for business school right now. And she actually took like a 2 weeks of days off. So she took a holiday vacation and she actually like scheduled different events. She was planning to attend different events across different schools in the States. And she actually visited different schools in person. I think that it's really smart, like you doing it. Honestly, it's your time investment, money investment, but you can really see what the school looked like and what you can feel different environments. That I think that's the key. So for me, since I couldn't do it, I attended every single information session that was hosted by the target school that I was applying for. When I go there, it's usually like an hour session. They're explaining different program, what kind of functions or industries that the school is focusing on recruiting maybe. And also after the session, you have an opportunity to talk to admissions directors or different alumni and current students and so on. And I thought that it's really useful as you can have, even though you couldn't visit, you can have like a sense of what the school will look like. And I also talked to a lot of different alumni and reached out to current students. So I'm actually currently a student ambassador at University of Michigan Ross School of Business. So I know that if you go to like a different school's website, you can find student ambassadors for each school and you can reach out to them. You can schedule like a 30-minute phone conversation with them wherever you are located. And I think that it's a good way for you to get to know about the school.
Sure. Any thoughts there, Rashad, on resources that you used when you were researching schools?
Yeah, I would say almost the same. One thing I want to add is, I took counseling. So I I had a counselor who was there, who just got recruited when I was a senior in my school. So they conduct so many sessions about the benefits of B school. Like if you're looking for international B schools, where are the best places? So usually it jots down to like UK or USA. So if you're opting for US, like how do we set up the B schools? Like what kind of B schools do you need? Like, so main focus was the degree I'm looking for. I'm looking for marketing, master's in marketing and marketing experience. So I I had a list of like 10 B schools, like with the help of my counselor and all the sessions I have attended. Even there are B schools, like they have webinars, and also they conduct direct sessions at different states in India, for example. So that really helped me to shortlist to 10 B schools. And then I decided on based on the location, after I got admitted to for like 4 to 5 business schools. I talked to the admissions council. They have international global education department. So it's more with the talking, word of mouth. So my cousin, he studied in UMass in Boston. So it's all about the word of mouth and the sessions you attend, because since you're an international student, your options are limited. So you need to make sure you invest on the best B school which matches your skills.
Does your school have any activities or courses, clubs for students who are interested in an MBA?
Yes, we do. Even I'm part of a student organization, Kent State International Mentors, and we do have International Graduate Student Association. So they have alumni and also the current students here, current MBA students. So if someone's looking for, like, for example, I'm from India, so I'm looking for someone from India who's studying at Kent State, so who's doing almost the same program, MBA. So I want to know, like, what is it like? How is the program going on? What about, expenses, like living expenses, everything. Like, it's not just the program, everything, like in choosing the best B school. Like, if you have all the elements that you're looking for, then with a person's perspective who is already a student there, that would actually elevate your thinking, like help you choose one of the best school.
Great. So Eric, what type of extracurriculars or work experience, what are admissions directors, what looks good to them?
Well, I think it's not so much of the brand names. I think that a lot of people would think. There's certainly the admissions people are going to see just an extraordinary range of companies, because if candidates are coming from all over the world, but even just within that particular country, there's a wide range of companies, positions, roles, and so forth. So they obviously can't know all of those things. So I wouldn't be, if you're looking at taking on a particular job, I wouldn't just go with what are the brand names out there, right? I would really focus on what is a good fit and a good match for you. Because in an interview or in your essay, they're going to ask you about that. So why did you go join this company? And you'll say, well, what you don't want to say is, well, everybody wanted a job there, so I took the job there. Or I knew it looked great on my resume. Well, that's great. So why are you now applying to my school? Right. It's no matter what you say at that point, they're only going to think you only want to come to my school because we're a brand name school, or it's going to look good on your resume, which is not particularly compelling to a lot of admissions people. So what they want to know is that you're managing your own life and your own career, and that you're getting involved in extracurricular activities that are of interest to you, that you can passionately engage yourself in, and that you're joining communities, so a company or a group of friends, or a club or activity that you're passionate about and that you're a good fit for. And if you make a change, right, so people change companies, and so they're going to ask you, well, why did you leave this company and go to that company? And again, same thing. I was doing X, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I thought it was a better fit for me, so I went and joined this company. Because all of that sets up then in an interview and in your essay about why you're doing this whole admissions process now. Why are you thinking about school? Why now? Why our school? And so forth. So I wouldn't look at, there aren't certain sort of buttons that you're looking to push with admissions people. They don't work that way. They really look through everything in your application. They're trying to understand this whole story. They're trying to understand who you are. And if they don't feel like they really understand who you are, they're going to have a harder time offering you a spot in the class.
Got it. Okay. So ultimately, Suji, what's your dream career? Where are you looking to go?
That's a good question. I think I'm still trying to figure it out. So for me, I can tell you guys about maybe like my journey across when I actually started working in a company. So I was always wanted to work closely with consumers, and I always been fascinated by certain brands or products are changing the lives of people. And that's why I actually started my career in the largest CPG company in Korea. So I had an experience in CPG world. And when I actually joined Amazon in Korea, I could see how fast the e-commerce and technology space is moving, which was quite interesting too. And when I actually got into school, I wanted to see whether I want to move to like a CPG industry in the States, because I noticed that that's quite different from the experience that I had back in South Korea. So like I mentioned earlier, I did a summer internship at General Mills, which was another CPG marketing and brand management experience in the food industry. And what I've noticed is that skills that business school can teach you is very transferable. So I think that it's important for you to have a solid view of like what you want to do in your life in terms of like a long-term perspective. So I personally don't like to see my career within maybe like 3 or 5 years. I want to look at my career in a longer term. And like I said earlier, I want to always work closely with consumers. And I've been always fascinated by how technology and brands can change the people, the way that people live in this life. So I think that right now I am interested in working in the technology world as a marketing manager and help certain brands and companies developing products and transferring values to the end consumer.
Okay. What about you, Rashad?
Yeah, I want to get into brand management. How it can deal with getting to learn about the brand, all the technology, business related information about the brand, even the financial aspects too. So mix all these stuff, like everything together, and you promote that brand to the customers. I want to do it in a like a global environment, not just in a particular country, but as globally, maybe part of a multinational firm. Uh, yeah, that's what, like, I want to be involved in brand management, like start off as a marketing assistant or something, and then proceed further to being a brand manager. Try to learn everything in each of the roles, and just keep learning. That's what I believe in.
Awesome. Well, you are on your way, Eric.
Okay.
So what if someone has a dream school? That's their first step, dream school. Then they're going to get to dream career. Is there like an average accepted GMAT range? If someone's shooting for a particular school, is there a range that they should be thinking about, or a number?
Yeah, I think a good way to do that is, one's not a good way to do it, which is just to look at the average for that school, because there's a tendency where people just look at the average and they think, oh boy, if I'm below that average, there's no way I'm going to get in, and if I'm above that average, then I'm guaranteed a spot, and both of those are false. So what I would do is I would spend some time on the school's website. Typically, they will provide information about their class profile. So of the students that were admitted and have enrolled in the program, they'll provide a mid 50% range or a mid 80% range or the full range. And that will give you some idea of, one, a little bit of the competition of, just at least from a GMAT score standpoint, but also what is something that they see quite often. But I think when you definitely want to, before you rule out any school, talk to that school about your score. So if you think that school is a great fit for me, but I'm concerned about my GMAT score because I have my results now, that maybe it's a little bit below, what they might find compelling, I'd say pick up the phone, give them a call, ask them that question, at least shoot off an email and talk to them about it, because, the GMAT is just one piece of a balanced admissions process. It is not the golden ticket, and it's also not, going to be the thing that's going to rule you out, immediately. Now, they will be concerned about if your score is too low, or maybe a section of it is too low, to where you start to fall into an area where they might have some concerns about your preparedness to perform academically in the program. And they can help you with some steps to work on that. But again, it's better to have that conversation before you decide to not submit your application. So there's a big range, and schools will always talk about that. And so, again, it's just really important to do your research, and then again, go ahead and have that conversation.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions so far? I know we're nearing our end here. If you have, while we're talking about GMAT though, Rashad, do you have like a study tip for the exam? Like your best study tip? Did we lose him again? Okay, Suji. Oh no, there he is.
I'm here. I didn't know that was, I thought you asked Eric, my bad.
No.
Okay, so I would say just if you're preparing for the test when you are an undergrad, I would say like try to incorporate whatever you learned, like be it math or verbal, like try to incorporate that along with the test preparation. That would be the best thing. And if you're already passed out, like if you're already a graduate and you're preparing for the test, I would say make use of the practice tests offered by GMAT, which helped me a lot. You get the feeling of the test, the live test. So I would prefer practice tests, which will definitely help you out.
Okay. Real quick, Eric. So many people know that you can take the exam more than once. Do admissions directors have an opinion? Like, do most people take it more than once? Does it ding you if you've taken it more than once?
Well, what we see, at least in our data here, and I can also just tell you from an admission standpoint what they see too, but from the data we have here, about 20%, maybe 25% take it more than once. So that does vary from what we see globally. To certain places, like Suji might have a comment about this, because when we would go to Korea to do information sessions, it seemed like a lot of those candidates were taking it more than once. But generally, most students take it one time, and they might take it a second time. But there are some candidates that would take it more than that. Generally, the schools, they're perfectly comfortable with you taking it the number of times that you need to take it. They're not going to take an average. They're not just going to take your most recent. They're going to take your highest score, because that's really what you're capable of doing on the exam. It is rare, though, to see a candidate take it 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And at that point, the school might have a few concerns, just because, they might say, I wish they were focusing on other parts of their application rather than just being really consumed with doing well on the GMAT. And also, I would just say that the GMAT is not the type of test that you just take multiple times and get lucky with a score. It's a highly reliable test. Therefore, if you go in well prepared and you feel well that day, in other words, you weren't sick or something, you took the exam, and then you took that exam, 2 months later, you're likely going to have roughly the same score. So unless there's really a big learning gap, so maybe you just need to dust the cobwebs off, maybe you need to learn what the item types were a little bit better, maybe you get the pacing down, things like that, and there really aren't going to be dramatic increases to your score.
Okay. What about you, Suji? You have any tips or your best GMAT tip?
That's a really hard question. So I think Eric just mentioned maybe like most students are taking maybe once. For me, I think maybe it depends on the location that you're based on. I think maybe I feel like when I talk to my friends here at Ross, maybe if they're coming from Asia, I think that generally they're taking more than once, I think. For me, I personally took 4 times. before I applied for business schools. For me, I think it was not that risky because when you look at my score, it was actually improving. So it was not like me having like, let's say 750 and then went back to like 600. It was improving in a graph. So it kind of like shows that I was improving. And so that's why going back to what Eric said, I think that it's really important for you to take GMAT when you are ready, because the admissions officers, they're going to look at your grade and see whether you're improving, whether you did really well at one quant this time, but you really did bad, whether your score is fluctuating, whether it's stable, and so on. So I think the biggest tip that I can give is obviously practice, taking a lot of practice exams. And for me, one of the other reasons why I took GMAT for 4 times is because I generally, for me, the style of learning for me, I need time to get used to like a certain like platform or new test. So I think that's why I took it multiple times. And have a long-term strategy again. So for me, I took it maybe once in December, and next exam was in February. Next one it was on April. So I didn't have exams like right next to each other because I wanted to study that I was not good at. So I know that when I took it, maybe it changed, but there were like RC, CR, SC, and also quant. So I would say you can see which area you're doing well and which area you're doing not quite well. I would say practice and also focus on the area that you're not good at and improving upon.
Okay, great. Question, Rashad. So as it relates to the GMAT or the application process, anything, if there was one thing that you could do differently, what would that be?
I would say, like, since you can attempt GMAT many times, so I would have taken it when I was a sophomore or maybe a junior. So just get to know how it is like, maybe like it will help you learn more in the GMAT tests. I would say like since you're getting a chance, so I would say like try it out once, see how the test goes. Of course, you'll have to prepare even if it's your first test, but it will help you a lot once you're a senior and you're writing the test for real. Like this is it, like you need the best score. So trying it out like 2-3 times is normal, I would say. Like if you start off when you were a junior, then you can attempt again when you're a senior. So I would say like I should have attempted a year before, but time is time.
What about you, Suji?
Can you
One
repeat
thing
that?
you would have done differently.
What I would do differently in terms of the application process?
Yeah, anything related to the process, application process.
I would say I would personally do more research on schools. It doesn't mean that I'm not satisfied with my school, but I think actually getting to know about school in a personal level is really important. So if I had more time, if I could take, like, let's say, take the time off from my busy full-time schedule back in Korea, I would personally visit different schools and I would talk to as many people as possible before application. Because it's 2 years of your life and it's really important, like where you go in terms of location, and also you need to think about internship opportunities, also full-time opportunities. There are a lot of different things that you need to consider. So I would say take time and try to get to know about the schools that you're applying for. And also, like just Rashad said, take it earlier would be my advice. Because I remember personally that I had a hard time balancing my personal schedule, professional schedule, and also GMAT schedule when I was working back in Korea. So I would say if you are confirmed and if you're sure about you want to do an MBA program or different graduate program that requires GMAT score, I would say it's better for you to start earlier than later.
Great. Thank you all. This has been helpful. I hope that our guests got something from this session, and I would encourage you to, take heed. A lot of information has been shared. Stay tuned to gmat.com/undergrads for more information, and don't forget about the promotion. So have a great day. Good luck on your journey, and we wish you the best. Thank you, everybody.